Story 53, friends helped me plan the perfect proposal until I caught her. I, 26 male, met my GF Anna, 25 female, in college, and we've been dating for a few years. It's recently gotten pretty serious, and we've talked about what marriage would look like for us in the future. We mostly talk about what sort of family we want, the kid count, location, careers, and responsibilities for each of us. The conversations were positive, and we were both on the same page for most topics we discussed. We both work now and have good jobs. I'm working in a finance role for a large, well-known company. Chances are you are using their product as you read this. Anna is working for a graphic design company, creating artwork that the company sells over the internet for people to use on their websites. She also moonlights as an artist, painting or drawing. She's highly skilled, and her work is impressive. Anna and I have some active friends we met in college. We love dancing and outdoor activities. Okay, done with the boring stuff. Anna's family used to go camping a lot, and Anna picked up a love for living outdoors. It's funny that when we go out for the weekend, she's setting up the tent, getting the fire going, etc. I just followed her directions and let her run the show. Things seemed to be going great for us, and I had a fun long weekend planned after a long work week. I'd finally saved the money and found the ring I wanted to buy for Anna. I went shopping during my lunchtime. During this particular day, I stepped out during lunch, ran to the jewelry store, and picked it up. We planned an evening with our friends that night, and everyone wanted to dance. Being new to engagement rings, I wanted to do it right, so I followed the 2-month salary rule. I got home first that day and spent time getting everything ready. My friends already knew what my plan was, and I'd invited them to be there when I asked her to marry me. There is an amazing beach where we spent our first date. This was Anna's favorite spot to walk on the beach and enjoy the Florida summer mornings and sunsets. I planned to stay out late with her and our friends, then we'd make a short road trip over to her favorite beach, and I'd propose as the sun rose. Anna came home and jumped into the shower getting ready for the evening. She was stunning when she came out of the bedroom. She was wearing her LBD, which showed off her figure in a way that made it hard for me to keep my eyes off her. I told her how beautiful she was, and she giggled as we left for the restaurant to meet our friends. After dinner and a few drinks, we walked to the club and started our evening of dancing and just having fun together. The other guys in our group got together to start planning the trip to the beach while the girls continued to dance. We talked for 45 minutes or so, getting everything just right. It was starting to get late, and my friend Mike mentioned that we might need to pull the plug on any additional drinking since he noticed the girls hitting the bar while we were talking. We finished the discussion and walked out into the mass of people to find the ladies as it was past the last call. I moved through the crowd with Mike, and we found his wife and another female friend dancing together. As Mike told them we were headed out, I pushed through the crowd to find Anna dancing with a guy I'd never seen before. At first, I didn't make the connection that it was her because they were both facing away from me. The guy was behind her grinding his groin into her ass, with his hands holding the side of her chest. How he held her made it clear that most of his hands held her breasts. I realized he was grinding into Anna, and she looked like she was pushing back into this guy. I was so shocked I just stood there. When Mike's wife approached me to ask if I'd found her, I just pointed, unable to find my voice. She turned and looked at where I was pointing, and I could hear her gasp. Mike walked up, and I heard him start cussing. At this point, my memory is sketchy, like it was just a vivid dream. Mike's wife stepped over to the guy, grabbing his arm and yanking him away from Anna. He looked surprised and annoyed and started asking her what the F she was doing. I remember he had an obvious bulge in his pants from grinding it into Anna through her dress. This guy was dry humping my girlfriend while groping her to the music. The guy starts to push Mike's wife away when Mike steps forward, grabs the guy by the throat, and throws him away from his wife. He fell to the floor, causing people to dodge out of the way so they didn't get knocked down. By this time, Anna had turned to see what was going on. She looked at Mike's wife yelling at her as Mike threw the guy down. She had a sort of strange look of confusion, and then it dawned on her what was happening. When Mike's wife pulled the guy away from Anna, his hand pulled her dress down and to the side, exposing her entire left breast. As I'm standing there in shock, watching, Anna's eyes catch mine, and I see the look of pure horror on her face. She starts crying, saying something, and walking toward me. I looked away, shook my head, and just left the club. I could hear Anna calling me, but Mike and his wife stepped between us and blocked her from following me, still cussing her out. I had heard later that the jackass swung at Mike, hitting him in the side of the head with a sucker punch. Mike said the bouncer showed up and jumped on the guy while another employee stepped between them and Mike. They asked everyone to leave. Mike said the guy threw a punch at the bouncer and summarily got destroyed. When I left the club, I just walked back to my car. I texted Mike to tell him I was heading to the beach to think, then got in the car and left to be alone and try to sort through the chaos. After getting to the beach, I walked until I got to Anna's favorite spot. I don't know why, but that's where I ended up. I ignored my phone and sat on some rocks, just playing with the ring. A while later, my friend showed up without Anna, and we just sat there quietly, looking out over the ocean until the sun rose. Mike's wife explained to me that they had all torn into her, and she had fled the club. They didn't see where she went, but she had run back toward the restaurant. She said that Anna had read and responded in the group chat, apologizing and saying she was confused about what had happened. Let me just state that when she made the realization we had caught her, she knew exactly what was going on. I could see it in her eyes. I pulled out my phone and looked at the thread. It had been blowing up while sitting there, but I didn't want to deal with it. There were a dozen or so texts from Anna and 5 voicemails. I opened the group chat, browsed through the conversation, and laughed when I saw Mike's wife congratulate Anna on the proposal and then said to her, "Oh yeah, you were too busy with that douchebag to say yes." Then she went off on Anna about how we were all going to the beach so I could propose to her and celebrate with us, but she was too busy being a slut. Anna never responded to the group again. I decided to open the texts from Anna. They were mini novels trying to explain what happened and apologizing, saying she didn't remember a big chunk of the night. She mentioned the proposal comment, asked me if that was true, and begged me to call her. I ignored it since I was far from ready to try and process her excuses. I guess I was lucky enough to be out with my friends because they were there for me. We took a lot of pictures of ourselves at the beach. Everyone posed, laughed, and had fun. It was enough to dull the pain at least. Mike's wife took most of the pictures and finally asked me to see the ring. I pulled it out and showed it to her. She made me hold the ring while she took a picture. She then posted all the pictures to social media and tagged everyone we knew, including Anna. She just simply said someone missed out on being engaged tonight. It was time to go home and deal with the situation. The dread I had walking into the apartment was almost too much to handle. I was shaking again, and the nausea had returned. As soon as I opened the door, Anna was there throwing herself at me. I disengaged from her and carefully pushed her away. I asked her not to touch me and walked to the bedroom. I hit the bed and fell asleep almost immediately to the sounds of her bawling in the other room. When I woke up, Anna was still at the apartment, looking like hell. I'm guessing she hadn't slept or showered, but she'd changed her clothes. I took a long hot shower and walked to the kitchen to find something to eat, stopping to grab the ring. I put it in my pocket because I had decided to return it. She was there, making food, and asked me to sit down. I was about to decline, but something in me wanted to get this out of the way. I was pretty sure I was done with the relationship. Looking at her, I could still feel my love for her, but it felt different. I was still in a weird zone where my emotions weren't precisely missing but felt very remote. I didn't feel anger, but when I looked at Anna, I felt betrayal more than anything. She sat across from me, and I ate in silence. As soon as I got up and walked past her to the sink, she reached out a hand, and I instinctively stepped around it. She started crying, got up, and ran to our room. For some stupid reason, I felt guilty. I can't explain why, I just felt like I'd done something wrong. Maybe someone reading this can explain that to me. She spent the rest of the day on our bed crying, finally coming back out to talk to me as it was getting dark. I had gone onto our deck to avoid being in the apartment where I could hear her crying. Anna eventually came outside and sat in the other chair, looking at me. Neither spoke for a long time, but I finally asked her, why? She looked ashamed and said she was sorry, then fell back on the "I must have been drunk, I can't remember most of the night" defense. She could tell I wasn't going for it, so she started talking about how she was drinking, dancing, and getting into the music, and it just happened. She said it wasn't a conscious decision and didn't even realize what happened until the fight. She told me she had no excuse other than that she was drunk and stupid and shouldn't have let it happen. We sat there for a while longer, and then, in a quiet voice, she asked me if it was true that I planned to propose. I didn't answer her for a while, then took the ring out of my pocket and set it on the table between us. I simply told her that I wanted her to be my wife. I explained the plan was for all of us to go to the beach she loved, and I was going to propose as soon as the sun started to rise. I wanted it to be the symbolic start of a new chapter in our lives. That's one effed up chapter I'd prefer to have skipped. She sat there crying, staring at the ring on the table. She told me she loved me and apologized again, but reiterated she didn't have much memory of the night. It was everything you would expect from someone trying to avoid taking responsibility. I told her she needed to understand that she fundamentally changed our relationship by her actions with some random guy. She lost it when I phrased it in a reference to cheating. She stood up and stepped toward me, stumbled, and fell on me. The somewhat humorous part was that the chair I was sitting on collapsed with her additional weight, and we fell to the concrete floor as the chair literally fell apart. The not funny part was that one of the wooden supports broke and drove into my back about 4 inches deep, impaling me. Yeah, so 4 inches deep into your back will hit something. In my case, it hit my right lung. At first, when we hit the floor, I laughed because it was so stupid that the chair had basically exploded. Then the pain hit. My laugh turned into a cough, producing a shocking amount of blood. Then, the pain hit me from a thick, jagged piece of wood impaling me. Anna stood up with a horrified look and bright red blood on the front of her shirt. I tried to say something but kept coughing, bringing up more blood. I tried to sit up, and the chair was trying to come with me since part of it was sticking in me. Anna screamed this blood-curdling no. Then grabbed my phone from the table and started calling 911. At this point, I couldn't talk and focused on turning my body to find a way to breathe. I could at least get short breaths by ignoring the pain and turning to my right. I don't remember much more, and I was getting dizzy, and the next thing I knew, a paramedic was talking to me, and I could hear a power saw. I was in and out for a bit and remembered being loaded onto a gurney. I remember saying I can't breathe unless I'm on my right side. I remember being dizzy. The next thing I remember was the hospital. When I woke up, I was in a bed, and my back was killing me. The nurse outside must have heard me moan because she showed up and asked if I was feeling pain. When I croaked and nodded to her, oxygen mask on my face, she hit a button, and I was in La La Land. It took a few days before they allowed anyone in. My parents were there waiting and were the first allowed in. They spent time talking to me, but I couldn't really talk back to them, so I just nodded and shook my head at their questions. My mom asked if I wanted to see Anna, who was waiting outside. I shook my head, and my parents' demeanor changed. My mom asked if everything was okay with her, and I shook my head again. I was able to croak out, cheated. That was the last word I even attempted to say as my chest felt on fire after the effort. My mom asked if she was the cause of my being hurt, and I shook my head. Anna hadn't planned on offing me. My parents refused to talk to Anna, but I was told Anna haunted the waiting room and asked the nurse every day if I would allow her to visit. One day, the nurse said, "Son, you need to let that girl come see you. It won't kill you to hear her out." I almost denied her again but relented. Yeah, I know. She sat beside me and took my hand without asking. I pulled on it, but she wouldn't let go. I eventually stopped pulling, and she asked me how I was doing. At this point, I was able to speak a bit and was within a few days of being released. I told her I was fine and waved her off when she started apologizing about the accident. I knew she didn't do it on purpose. Anna asked if there was anything she could do, and I finally got my petty revenge on her. I told her there was, but she wouldn't like it. She said she would do anything. I said the ring must be returned or I won't get my money back. Anna looked devastated. Her eyes teared up, and she asked if that was really what I wanted. I said yes, and she agreed to do it. The next afternoon, Anna showed up again and handed me the receipt for returning the ring. I had spent a lot of money on the ring, so I paid for a return policy if the engagement didn't go as planned. Anna looked sad and mentioned that the ring was beautiful. I felt like crap after seeing how much it hurt her to return the ring. So, I'll take the UTA on that one. The hardest part of this entire episode is dealing with the tatters of my relationship. Anna is adamant about not remembering much of the night. There are obvious reasons why that could be true. Getting dosed at a bar is a real thing. The problem with that answer is that I saw the recognition and horror in her eyes when she turned around and saw all of us standing there. I don't think people get shocked out of being dosed. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just so convenient. I've had some friends tell me that I could be making a huge mistake and that Anna may have been under the influence. Anyway, she's still living in our apartment, as we had already renewed our lease. She's staying in the other bedroom because I told her that I needed time to figure this out. I guess I'm hoping to get some idea of what people think I should do. Does anyone think she's telling the truth? I have to admit I would have bet my life that she was not the kind of person that cheat on me. It's just so out of character, and she knew that we were all there at the club. I'm not going to make any drastic moves right now. I just don't know what to do, so I'm going to give it some time. I still have feelings for her, but I'm not sure about trusting her.
I only post new and unique content. Please like and subscribe.